Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nashville Tour Stop podcast, episode number 115, part 1 of 3 of our Nashville Tour Stop 2024 spring, whatever it is, intern episodes. We've got Miss Grace Morgan joining us. Grace, this is your first time on the Tour Stop podcast.
It sure is.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
We've been hanging out a bunch this semester.
Mm-hmm.
It's been great.
It's been awesome.
So I start all of the Tour Stop episodes by asking our guests how we met. And
Okay.
I don't totally remember the circumstances of me and you meeting each other. So would you
Yes.
please regale the tale?
Okay, so Harper Mundy was playing Tin Roof, and I was 19 at the time, so I snuck into Tin Roof to come watch, and she introduced me to you after she played.
That was her first full band set for me, I believe. That would have been like
think it
spring of
was.
2023?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Man, well, you snuck into Tin Roof. I mean,
sure did.
security there's not A+,
No,
as we know. So.
it's not. I was carrying a guitar, so they were like, yeah, sounds
You're like,
good.
yeah, I belong here.
Yeah.
I feel like you can do that at a lot of places in Nashville, though. Just walk in with a guitar, you're like, I'm playing, and the security's like, okay.
I tried to do that at the basement. It did not work.
At the basement, it did not work.
Yes.
The basement is pretty intense about people not not being underage there.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we love the basement, though. We love the
We
basement.
do. Love the
Come
basement.
to our shows at the basement.
All of the shows.
So you started interning for Nashville Tour Stop in January of 2024, right?
Yes, sir.
Just so that I'm not like mixing it up. But you actually are a sophomore-ish at Belmont, so we
Correct.
had to do some special paperwork to get you on because you technically didn't qualify to have an internship yet.
Correct.
Right. So what are you studying at Belmont?
I'm studying music business with the live production emphasis.
Well, that's
or
convenient.
like live event management emphasis. I was not that. I was in the middle of the semester and I really loved Tour Stop, and I was like, yeah,
Hey!
let's switch to live event management.
I didn't
was-
ask her
yeah.
to say that.
No, he didn't. Yeah, I was tour operations before that though. Yeah.
So where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I'm from Cost, Texas, technically. We don't have a population sign, and maybe we have like 3 stop signs. That's about
So
it.
you grew up in an actual small town.
Very small.
Actual small town.
Very small. We have more cattle and chickens than we do people. So,
Woof.
yeah.
You did grow up on a chicken farm. You showed me those videos the
I
other day
did.
of your boyfriend dumping baby chicks and like just straight on the ground. I was like, don't they get hurt?
No, they're like Play-Doh at first.
They're just soft.
They are.
I just can't unsee it. I'm gonna have to have you send me that video so that I can superimpose it into the video here so people can see you just dumping chickens on the ground. But you're like, don't worry, that's how we're supposed to do it.
That's how you're supposed to do it. And you kind of have to do it hard so you stun them.
Oh.
Or else they're going to start like running back towards the trailer. And get
You're like,
smudged.
don't run back.
Don't run back.
Wow. So you grew up on a farm.
I did.
What was that like growing up?
It was fun, but like the farm was literally right behind my house, and obviously chicken litter, aka chicken poop, does not smell good, especially when it rains or when the wind blows.
Yeah. So all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time. Yeah, but yeah, it was my sister. It was when we were really little. My dad was like, she was like, "Dad, what's that smell?" And
He's like, that's our farm.
he was like, "That's money, sweetheart."
That's money.
Yeah.
So you grew up there. When did you move to Nashville?
I moved to Nashville. It'll be 2 years in August.
2 years. What's
2
your
years in August.
Nashversary? Do you know?
I think August 18th.
Was that for your freshman year at Belmont?
Mm-hmm.
So why did you pick Belmont?
Okay, so
Tough question.
Yeah, it was literally right before my senior year, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and it's always been music. There's nothing else
There's
I
never
want to
been
do.
a plan B.
There's never been a plan B. There can't be.
Yeah, I mean, I was the same way when I was in college, and it's also like, or high school. It's like, it's crazy that we're like we expect 17 and 18-year-olds to be like, all right, I know everything about what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like there's an old Aziz Ansari comedy bit about basically that.
Yeah.
And he says like, oh yeah, could you imagine if you had to like stick with some of the decisions you've made in your life from when you were 17 and you just have to have that forever? Like imagine you have to have that Bob Marley poster made up of all of the little Bob Marley pictures to make one big Bob Marley picture. And you have to have that up in your bedroom forever.
Until you die.
Until you die.
And then it'll go and be with you at your funeral. Instead of like the little flower things, it's your Bob Marley poster.
Yeah, I'm grateful that I don't have to live with some of the decisions I made when I was 17, because I was an idiot when I was 17.
As was I.
You're like, and also still no.
Potentially.
Yeah. Awkward face. Well, you picked Belmont. What was your major when you started?
Yeah,
it was just music business?
Yeah, it was music business.
Gotcha.
Stuck with it.
You're like, all 2 years of it so far.
All 2 years.
But what was it like growing up in such a small town? Was there music around there?
No.
How did you start with music there?
So like I started playing guitar in I think the 4th grade. So
Okay.
10 years this year.
Did you teach yourself?
No, I started
lessons?
going to a woman named Grace. Her name was also Grace. She was
You're like, I am not the one who I'm talking about.
I am not. I like went to a Lutheran church and she would teach me like a couple chords a week.
That's cool.
Yeah. And
So you had lessons for 2.5 weeks. You learned all 5 chords.
all 5 chords. All the ones I still use.
C, A, G, E, D.
Yeah, that's how I started, and then like progressively just moved up to other guitar teachers and just kind of kept going
That's
with
neat.
that. Yeah.
Did you get to a point where you you knew you were good enough to play and you didn't need more lessons, or was that just something that kind of phased out?
I think I stopped taking guitar lessons my sophomore year of high
Okay.
school. It was like
So
right
you
when
took
the
lessons for a
pandemic hit.
while.
Yeah, I did.
Did you have to do like recitals and stuff?
I actually learned piano before guitar, and I did recitals and like state
That was
competitions
me.
for that.
I did the same thing. My
Yeah.
dad gave me piano lessons, and I just didn't have the patience to sit down all proper, like
You have to-
good finger curves. Mozart. Beethoven. Like, I need Roll Over Beethoven by Leo or ELO.
Yeah.
Leo, man.
Leo.
Leo. I'm not dyslexic. No, I totally relate to the growing up in like a classical music background. What made you get into country music?
I grew up in a very like country populated area.
You're like, I
but
grew up on a fucking chicken farm.
I grew up on a damn farm, Aaron. That's what it was.
You're like, I was the country.
I was. Yeah. One of my songs, Hot Wells Creek, is written about the creek literally right behind my farm. Can't imagine that creek smells good or is good to drink from in any sort of way. But yeah, I have a song called Hot Wells Creek about that little creek.
Did you have songwriting classes as well as a kid? Did you
No.
taught yourself songwriting?
Taught myself songwriting.
Who were some of the artists you were listening to as a kid that made you want to do that?
This is going to be so gross and cliche, but
Is
I
it
listened.
Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she is like the most famous person on earth, so
Yeah, at the moment.
yeah. At the moment,
At
we'll
the
see.
moment.
We'll see before the first Grace Morgan single comes out.
Maybe. Aaron does a hair flip for me.
Oh yeah, I do have to ask the interns sometimes to do the sassy hair flip for me because I don't have it. I've just got the nice buzz cut,
Good stuff.
the DIY buzz cut.
Wait, you did it yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been cutting my own hair since I was 16, 17.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried growing out my hair like really long and shaggy when I was in high school, and I fucking hated it. And
Oh, wait, you showed me a picture of that the other
I
day.
buzzed my head all the way down, and I looked weird, but I was like, wow, this was pretty easy. And then I eventually just started learning how to like do longer on the top so I can get my little poof right here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Tintin, the cartoon character, is?
I do not.
I just aged myself a little bit. But he's a cartoon character that people have likened me to before because he's got the same little hair, like, woo.
Oh, the little swoop thing.
Just a little swoop.
Like a little up.
Yeah, so I'll post a photo of Tintin as well. So it's me and Tintin right here.
A little side by side.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't need the because I mean it was like a children's cartoon. It'd be like you look like Bob the Builder. I'm like, can he do it? No. So Taylor Swift, were there others, or was it just T Swift? Queen Swift.
Well, of course there were like others along the way. I ended up like
She was just the one that opened the door.
yeah, she kind of opened the door. my mom always told me I would be like 3 years old and she'd like be driving me around when I was in my little car seat and I'd be like, oh, trees. And I'd make up like a little song about trees and things like that. And I'd always sing along to Taylor Swift, of course.
That's cute though. Do you remember your first song that you ever wrote?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't. I have no idea what it was. I remember I wrote a song and performed it in like, I think it was 3rd grade in front of my class.
Wow.
Yeah, and my teacher like showed a video of it to my mom and they were like, look, your daughter did this.
And you're like, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'm that cool.
I'm a rock star.
Yeah, I have no idea where that video is and I hope it never resurfaces.
There's a video somewhere. It might still be on YouTube, a video of me playing with my band in 8th grade. We were called the Black Streaking Boys.
Okay.
And we were a like air band to one Backstreet Boys. I don't know why we called ourselves that, but I air guitared the guitar solo, but everyone thought that it was me. And we did that for Principal's Day in 8th grade, and I felt like a celebrity for one whole day. Everyone's like, you're so good at the guitar. And I was like, yeah, I am. Yeah,
You're like,
that's all me. I didn't air guitar to the iPod plugged in the sound booths.
Yeah, no backing tracks here.
No. Now, do you remember the early days of performing? Like, did you perform acoustic stuff with your guitar when you were getting into high school, or did that come when you got to Belmont?
Yeah, it was more in high school. I did like a couple of shows, not many, but I've done, I think, 45 shows now.
Hey, that's awesome.
Since I moved to Nashville. I started my little list, and the most recent one was with you for my full band showcase.
Your first full band in Nashville,
yeah,
right?
First full band. It was awesome.
So we just had Grace play full band at the Hard Rock Cafe down on Broadway, and she crushed.
It was awesome. Loved my band. Everybody was awesome, and so thankful for having you let me do that. That was really cool.
Yeah. It was a fun time. So, are you wanting to be more of a solo artist, or would you like to be with a band?
I'd love to be with like a band, but I still want my name out in front.
You want it to be Grace Morgan, and then you have a band.
Yes.
You don't want to be in like the Dixie Chicks.
Correct.
Oh, the Chicks. The Chicks.
Sorry. The Chicks now, or like
the Chicks.
The late Lady Antebellum to Lady A, or all that. Yeah.
What kind of stuff would you want to be putting out? Like, for people who've never heard you play before, since you don't have music released, how would you describe your genre?
More like country Americana type stuff. I listen to a lot of Nikki Lane or like Sierra Farrell right now. They're girl bosses. They're amazing. Mm-hmm. If you haven't listened to their music,
you went to the Sierra Farrell concert at the Ryman, right?
2 nights in a row.
2 nights in a row.
2 nights in a row. Yeah.
Because you said Cole Ritter played with her once, right?
Yes, Cole Ritter played with her the second night.
Did he play fiddle for her?
No, he did a duet with her on stage. He played guitar and sang with her, and it's awesome.
Shout out Cole Ritter.
Yeah, Cole Ritter. He played fiddle for me on Thursday.
Yeah, he did. That's
at Hard Rock. Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, my band's and like successful people's bands too.
He's played the Ryman. Yeah.
So I think I told you, but I've actually been on stage at the Ryman before as well. Maybe I haven't told you.
Wait, was it for the Nashville show?
It was for the Nashville TV show.
Right.
Yeah, so for those of you listening who did not know, and for those of you watching, I was on 6 episodes of the Nashville TV show, which is just bonkers to think about, because I signed up to be an extra, and I was so poor. I had just moved to Nashville, and I got an email for like an extras casting call for the Nashville TV show, and it paid $80. It's like, well, I got 10 hours free today. All I got to do is show up. And then I showed up, and I was on set, and I was just walking in the background, and I was a blur in the background. Just fine. It was great. I was getting my $8 an hour. And then there was this actor who kept like slunking out of frame, like from the camera, and the director just yells, "You, ducking out of frame. Get off my set. Extra, you have his role now." Like, I've never acted before.
That's wild.
Yeah, so like, just because of that, I got to do a scene with Hayden Panettiere, and it's like, it's just on TV, and then I got called back to do it, and then the final episode was at the Ryman, and I'm in the finale of the TV show, standing on stage next to Lynn and Stella, and it's just freaking crazy that, like, people move to big cities to
Yeah.
try to be actors and stuff, and they pray for that to happen. And I just didn't care. I was like, I need my $80.
All $80.
Yeah, a friend of mine lives in Los Angeles, and he's, I would say, trying to be an actor. He is an actor, but he was like, I hate you so much because doing 6 network TV show episodes, you can get like SAG-AFTRA, you can be a union actor, you can get paid way more. He's like, dude, if you had like applied for that final episode, you could have made thousands of dollars. And I was like, oh, I just got my I got my $80.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But he's like, and you didn't even care.
No.
He's like, I hate you so much right now. So, yeah. Sorry, Jed. Yeah, I didn't move here to be an actor. I don't really care to be an actor. I don't have I have a great face for radio, which is great now that we're doing video podcasts too, but yeah, I'm glad that didn't turn out to be like a bigger thing. How crazy would it be to move here to be a musician and then the world's just like, all right, you're an actor now.
You're an actor now. Moved to Los Angeles. You just moved to Nashville, and then you have to go to LA.
And they're like, you want to go move to LA? And I'm like, nope.
No.
Have you ever been to Los Angeles?
I haven't.
It's, for our LA listeners, thank you for listening, but your town is crazy. Like, hi, Jesse. I know you're listening. Thank you for listening. But boy, howdy, LA is crazy. Like, there's something that in Nashville we've talked about. There's a big no-no is the pay-to-play world.
Yeah.
And you get tarred and feathered in Nashville if you do pay-to-play. And I was talking to Jessie about it because she's a promoter kind of like me.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that that's just very normal out there. Like, you just pay the promoter to put you on a lineup. And I can't imagine that. Like, that just being the industry standard there. But it's because nobody goes to watch live music out there, apparently. Unless you're ultra famous.
Seriously?
Yeah. She said the LA music scene sucks.
Damn.
So she's moving to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And I have informed her that it's just as hard here. We just have a lot more.
There's a lot more people.
Yeah, it's like you may have like 5 venues. We have 500. Now try convincing your friends to come to a show when there's also 499 other shows happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And your friends are playing
all those shows. Yeah, your friends are playing all the shows. Yeah, like I think it was February of 2023. I was playing a show at Tin Roof on Demumbrian. Or no, I was playing in Doghouse on Demumbrian.
Mm-hmm.
And then like some of my friends were playing in Tin Roof right next door. And I was like, that's so cool, but I can't go watch you and you can't go watch me.
Yeah, that is one of the hardest parts about being in Nashville is that so many places are 21 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's this, what I can describe as a pejorative term is the Belmont bubble. Have you heard that before?
I have heard that before.
What are your thoughts on the Belmont bubble? As a Belmont student who might exist within the bubble.
I have...
Actually, you're with Tour Stop. You're outside the bubble.
I have excommunicated myself from the bubble. I'm no longer in the bubble. It was after my freshman year. I moved into an apartment off campus, and I am not in that bubble whatsoever anymore.
Thank God.
I'm only on campus for class, and then I leave. And then I leave.
Yeah, because there's definitely, like, I've gotten submissions to play Tour Stop before where people describe some of the things they've done. I'm like, I've never heard of any of these things. And it's just like, I played at the Well on Belmont Boulevard. And like, neat.
Cool.
Next.
Yeah, continuing on.
Yeah, so what we've actually had Grace and the other interns working on this semester is a program we call Too Cool for School that we've hosted at a couple of different venues here in town. We did half of the semester at the Row up in Midtown Nashville, and then we hosted the second half of the semester at Nash House Saloon downtown on 8th Avenue. But it's been exclusively for Belmont students to get Belmont students involved in the music scene outside of campus.
Yeah, we've had a lot of Belmont students. We also tried to get other students involved just because there are other colleges. But it's really hard to get a hold of them.
Yep, it's really, really hard.
Yeah, because all of us interns are Belmont students, and we can be like, oh, you're our friend. We're doing this thing. You should apply.
Yeah.
Yeah, please apply.
Yeah, so with our intern program being through Belmont, like they're approved to just like, this is what we do for our internship. And you can just reach out to people. Whereas like, you're not going to drive to MTSU and be like, hey, do you want to play a round up in Nashville 30 minutes away?
Yeah.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
We have had MTSU students play before. We actually had one play last week. Lily Hart played.
Yeah, she did.
She's from MTSU, but I just don't want to go that far away.
No.
It's so far. We love you, Murfreesboro, but we see you from afar.
We do.
So what have been some of the things you've really enjoyed about hosting for the first time? Because you had never done round hosting or booking or anything.
Nope, I hadn't.
What were you scared of when you started, and what are you happy you've done now?
I was scared of like talking on stage just to like no one that was going to interact with me kind of, but there are interactions that end up happening from the audience, which is great. Also stuttering over people's names because sometimes people have really complicated names and I'll go up and I'll meet them beforehand and I'll be like, hey, I just want to get your last name right. Can you tell me your last name? And I'll get on stage and sometimes I still
say it wrong. That's happened to me before.
Yeah.
Because some of these people have such similar names that I mean, and I've had them play before together. Like, there's a girl named Elena Jane, and then there's Elena Jones, and I've mixed them up. Or then, I think I've mentioned it before on the podcast, but we haven't. We had a show several years ago where I just booked 6 hours of people named Alex. Like,
you did that?
I did that at Alley Taps in 2021, I believe. Yeah, just booked 6 hours of people named Alex. It was awesome.
That's crazy.
The poster just said Alex. And then in teeny tiny letters at the bottom with the 6 p.m., 7 p.m., I put their last names. But yeah, it just said presenting Alex.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, but it's because everybody has the same name.
Yeah.
And see, Grace Morgan's a pretty, I don't want to say generic name.
No, it's a very generic name.
But it's not like you're named like Thor, where you can just be like, Google, Thor, Chris Hemsworth, sweet.
Great.
But we have basic names.
I have a very basic name, and
At least it's not Grace Rose Morgan.
It's Grace Alexandra Morgan.
That's still pretty basic.
Very.
I mean, for those of you who don't have basic names, thank you. But for those of you who do, like the rest of the world, sorry we mix you up.
We do mix you up, but also thank you, because I can pronounce your last name.
Yes, Hannah Smith music. Can't mess that one up. No, I met the guy who has Alex Smith on Instagram, just like at Alex Smith, and I was like, what a lucky dude to just have like that. Just be like, because back when Instagram started, I could have just gotten at Aaron.
Yeah. Like
I couldn't imagine now being like at Aaron 4961247G, and it's like, sorry, this username is taken.
That is crazy because everyone's on it. Everyone's on
the gram.
On the gram.
What do you think about all this TikTok banning stuff that's happening? Do you give a shit?
I don't. I honestly don't use TikTok that much because I'll just be on Instagram Reels more than anything.
Yeah, and I just discovered that you can turn off recommended content on your Instagram feed. So it'll be like, this video of a Jenga tower falling down is suggested for you. And you're like, why? You can turn that off. It's great.
I actually really want to see what Instagram would come up with for me.
To find out what's
popular right now.
They're trying to curate content to keep you active on it, but like there's so much just dumb stuff. And now with like the advent of AI and AI caption videos, they'll just be like, why Iron Man is strong superhero. And they'll be like, he has suit made of iron. I'm like, okay, why did that pop up on my thing? And then why was it just quiet for 4 seconds? Like, there's so much garbage content on the internet. It's hard to sift through the sand to find the little nuggets of my friend's playing a show tonight.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to find that. But one thing I always like when I'm like sifting through content is when I see who's liked the same videos as me. And I'm like, this person and I have the same exact sense of humor.
Oh, we're getting recommended the same stuff.
Wow, so special.
This video of Taylor Swift, that's definite. So I've been mistakenly calling her new album The Dead Poets Society, which is a movie from the 90s.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, I have been wholeheartedly referring to it as the Dead Poets Society. And then
What is it called?
Tortured Poets Department.
Oh.
Swifties, don't at me if I'm wrong.
I don't know. I haven't listened to it.
I haven't listened to it either.
I haven't listened to her past like 3-4 albums.
Yeah. Sorry, Swifties.
Sorry, guys.
I find it really hard to listen to new music because I'm going to sound like my dad. I just like the music that was on when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Also, band names now are garbage. Have you ever seen like the Bonnaroo lineups?
No, I haven't seen the one this year.
Well, it's just like every year there's just these crazy band names. It'll be like Fart in the Button Mouth, and you're like, you get to play a festival?
Like you got famous?
You got famous? Like there's a band called Diarrhea Planet that has played at the Ryman multiple times.
Are you kidding me?
Dead serious. Like, give regular people, give Grace Morgan basic name a chance.
Yeah, see? Give us basic name people a shot.
give us basic name people a shot. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick message and we'll come right back with Grace Morgan on the Nashville Tour Stop podcast. The Nashville Tour Stop podcast is recorded live on Music Row in Nashville, Tennessee at Interstate Music and is produced by Amadio A Solutions with Mr. Alex Amadio. Now more from the Nashville Tour Stop podcast. And we're back with the Nashville Tour Stop podcast, episode number 115, featuring intern Grace Morgan. Grace, thank you for joining us today.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, so happy to be here.
Hello, yeah, let's just do this the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. People do this on stage and it's crazy.
Welcome to the Nashville Tour Stop ASMR podcast.
Oh, God.
I hate that.
It'd be so horrible. And then, like, we have our water bottle in the mic, like, doing all the, like, crunchy things. I'm not going to do that because that'd be horrible.
I hate ASMR. Some people love it.
It's gross.
It's gross and it makes me feel icky.
Like when people do like the pop rocks in their mouth ones, and they like just have, it's like a video of them with their mouth open and with the mic to their mouth, and you just like hear that.
There's also podcasts where people eat on the air, and listening to people chew is so gross. Can you imagine like watching somebody eat is weird enough? But listening to them eat is weirder.
See, like, I'm self-conscious when I eat chips around people. Because, like, it's really crunchy.
Am I chewing too loudly?
And I'm like, am I just, like, crunching too loudly in my head? Or can everyone hear this?
I've wondered the same thing. Because I really like crunchy foods. Like, I'm a big texture eater, and crunchy stuff is my favorite. And I'll just be like... And I'm like, can everyone hear this? Or is it just in my head? Well, since we're not a food podcast and we're not listening to us do ASMR podcast, let's talk a little bit about the songwriting process. So what was it like when you were young and learning to songwrite for yourself for the first time? What do you remember about the early days of trying to write songs?
Trying to figure out like structure of things because I didn't have anyone really guiding me through. Like I learned different guitar parts and piano parts, so I learned verse, chorus, all this. So trying to write a song and build off of like the regular roadmap of songs, that was like something new I had to get used to. And that all really came like when I was in 8th grade or something like that, when I started actually like writing structured songs. Yeah.
Now, what do you remember about the first song that you wrote that you remember? Like, I'm proud of this song. Do you have one of those?
I think when I actually got serious about songwriting was my sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
And it was a song called Colorblind that was out at one point.
It is no longer? No
longer out. It was in my pop days. Okay. And we can ignore those days because that wasn't me, guys. That wasn't me. Definitely not me anymore anyway.
No longer.
No, Grace.
No longer Pop Grace.
No, high school Grace. You can be proud of that. But now, Grace, let's move on. Yeah.
So your sophomore year of high school, what do you think it was that changed around then between just having fun doing it when you were young versus like, I think that this is something that I should like do?
COVID hit.
Really?
COVID hit my sophomore year of high school. I had just turned 16 and I had the time.
You had the time.
I had the time.
So while you were busy songwriting seriously for the first time, I was doing an Instagram series on my stories called #WakaWaka, where I would walk around Nashville because that was like Tour Stop had just started becoming my full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
And then when COVID quit all of the shows, I had nothing to do. So I would literally walk 26 miles like a day through Nashville. So I used to live in East Nashville, and I'd walk from the 5 Points area where I lived, and then I'd walk through Midtown Nashville, like up by Old Belcourt Taps.
Yeah.
And then I would walk to the Grand Ole Opry.
That is such a long walk.
I had nothing else to do. So it'd be like 10 hours or something, and I'm like, well, just bring some snacks in a backpack.
That's crazy.
I'd stop by my friends' houses and wave at them through the window.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, there's a couple of videos of me just on my walks, and people be like, there's Aaron.
There he goes.
There he goes.
Yeah, I thought you showed me those the other day, like on your archive thing. Was it in your selfie era?
Mm-hmm.
It was just of you and your sunglasses with your backpack.
Yep, that was my Waka Waka era. I walked almost 800 miles. Like, in the bona fide 3 months of the shutdown, I walked so much because it was all there was to do.
Yeah.
Like, there was literally nothing else to do. So I'd walk all day, and then I'd come home and watch Netflix. I got really skinny.
Yeah. That's wild.
I got really skinny because I was walking so far every day, but don't recommend.
Okay.
Let's just not go back to that.
Yeah. We'll skip that time. That was a little blurb.
Yeah. So you graduated high school. That would have been in 2022 then?
Correct.
So when you got to Belmont and you didn't get accepted into the songwriting program there.
I didn't. I got denied twice. I was just telling you about this in our little break, but I got rejected twice. And at home in Texas on my little bulletin board from my childhood that's filled with like little letters from my mom from camp, there's my 2 rejection letters and a Post-it note on it that says do better.
Well,
and,
you're in good company of people who didn't get accepted into the programs they applied for, because I applied to business school and I didn't get into business school. Turns out you don't have to have a business degree to start a business. Take that. And what's even better yet, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, but like I now get the alumni donation requests that are like, thank you for going to the University of Missouri. Would you like to donate to the Alumni Association? It's like, no. What did you do with the money I gave you when I was going to school there? And you didn't let me into the program I wanted. It's like, why would I give you more money?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to give. What did you do with the first $100,000 I gave you?
Yeah, I have friends that have like just graduated Belmont, and like 2 months after they graduated, they start getting you're alumni? Give us money.
Give us money. And you're like, my degree hasn't even arrived in the mail yet.
Correct. It's like, you have not sent me my diploma. Can we wait for that?
Yeah, and all of the jobs you said would be waiting for me after graduation aren't.
Yeah, they're not there.
Like, turns out the only job most of us are qualified for is working at a Chipotle.
Correct.
So I had so many odd jobs growing up, and then when I got to Nashville, I had 5 jobs before Tour Stop, and then Tour Stop stuck, and I'm going to call it lucky. I worked my ass off, but I got lucky that I had one that stuck. What are you trying to do now what steps are you taking now to get to like being a full-time musician, if that's what you want? Like what are you trying to do? Are you writing? Are you playing a lot? I mean, you said you'd played 45 shows, but what else are you doing to try to bridge that gap?
Yeah, writing, playing a lot. I'm trying to go on a run this summer to Texas. We were talking about band names a minute ago. And going down to Texas, it would be like me and my band, which is all guys. And I was like, we could be Grace Morgan and the Bluebonnet Boys because we're going down to Texas, which would be really fun. But really, I'm getting a music business degree because I will do whatever it takes to be in the music industry in some way, form, or fashion.
What if you had I'm going to sound so Midwestern, if you had your druthers? Do you know that phrase?
No.
It's I forget what it's from, but your druthers is your would rathers, your druthers. Okay. Would you rather? Would you rather?
Okay.
If you had your druthers, what would you do? What would you do? Great big world, Grace Morgan. What would you do?
I'd want to go and play and be on tour. Like, I'd love to play the Ryman someday. Like, step ups. I have a lot of friends that are trying to get to be like opening acts for like bigger people just to get their names out there. They're just being guests in the middle of shows like Cole was, and just that's the stepping stone. But for now, you get to just play little shows, whatever shows you can grab, take them.
And that was the whatever we want to say direction I took when I was trying to just make it. I didn't say no to any shows. And before I had the mentality of like sticking around to support the live music that was also there, I was playing like 3 rounds a night. So I would do the 6 o'clock, and then I'd do an 8 o'clock, and then I'd do a 10 o'clock. So I was really playing like as much as I could. So there is something to be said for that, just being around. And just like, it's undeniable. Like, if you play 3 shows a night, like, people are going to notice. Not necessarily like, oh, you're playing the biggest, most popular shows, but it's just like, you're clearly trying. Like, no one's gonna undersell you for like not putting in your all. Yeah. So like, just do the work.
That's the thing. If you don't have like the work ethic to get it done, it's not gonna happen.
And that's one of the things that I've seen happen, where like people will like they'll get the pub deal or they'll get the record deal, and then that work ethic slips because they're like, I made it, and then they quit caring and they get what's the word? Complacent, and they just kind of get into the like, I'm here, I have arrived. But that's like literally step 1. You get the deal, and then you have to take off. It doesn't just happen like that. And of course, I'm not a music industry executive. What do I know?
Well, you know enough to be doing what you're doing. That's for sure. You've been successful enough to be doing what you're doing. Let's
talk a little bit about the songwriting process. You learned like on your own down in Texas. High school, COVID shut down. Didn't get into the songwriting program at Belmont, but you clearly write a lot of music. What are you doing now? Are you co-writing? Do you solo write? What do you do?
Most songs that I play at rounds or at shows are all solo writes.
Okay.
When I played on Thursday, I only had 1 co-write in there. But this summer, I'm trying to get a lot more co-writes on the books.
Who have you co-written with? Or like, who did you write this one co-write with?
Oh, I wrote with a guy named Miles Connor.
Okay.
I met him through Belmont. Or I've seen him at Belmont before, but then I didn't meet him until I went to a Lemon Twigs concert in East Nashville. Nice. So yeah, it was fun meeting him. We only wrote the one time, but it was like a good write, and I'll still play it out. So
it's a muscle that you have to train and learn, because I had never co-written before I moved to Nashville. So I remember my first co-write, I did it with a lady named Jan Buckingham, who's an old school hit songwriter.
Okay.
And she's probably sold 20, 30 million records with her songs, like Conway Twitty, Lee Greenwood, Whitney Houston. Like, she's written a bunch of stuff. And I remember showing up, and she's like, can you please take your shoes off before coming into my house? And I was like, is this normal for co-writes? No. But we sat down, and she asked what I wanted to write a song about. And I told her the idea, and then she wrote it while I watched.
That's happened to me before. I had a co-write with a guy named Rhett McDonald. He's the son of the lead singer for Lone Star. So I went out to him and his dad's house out in Murfreesboro. Went to Murfreesboro. Yes.
Shout out to Murfreesboro.
Shout out to Murfreesboro. And it was like kind of a wild experience. I walked in, and there's like this white baby grand piano and all of his dad's Grammys on the walls. And I'm like, oh,
that's
okay.
Dope.
I was like, this is cool. And he was like, let's go right by the pool. I was like, okay, sick. That was like one of my other co-writes that I did last summer. And I have a write with him on the books coming up, which will be super fun. But but yeah, I'll have like 3 writes starting in May, but I'm trying to get more co-writes just because I haven't exercised that muscle in a while.
It's something that I struggle with again, because I did go through a phase where I was co-writing all the time.
Yeah.
And I would do 5 a week, and I just got out of practice of it. And I had a co-write not too long ago, and I found myself really struggling to come up with like quality ideas.
Yeah.
And I've found my role in a co-write, and as I've done it more, there are different like roles in a co-write, and there's people who are really good at lyrics, and there's people who are really good at melodies. My position is I'm great at chord structure and like writing like the hooky riff that like makes it a signature sounding song that's not just more cowboy chords. But it's cool, like, co-writing, because you finally get to learn, like, where you fit into it. So once you find that position, you don't have to fight for it. So you can find people who are the lyricists and be like, let me write the chords, you write the words, and let's get a melody person, and then bring that together. Instead of being like, I'm the guitar player, you're the guitar player, you're the guitar player, let's fight. Bring it on.
Duking it out. You have, like, you're holding it up and you're, like, ready to stab someone with, like, the neck of your guitar.
Yeah, that's always been one of my favorite parts of writing songs, is writing, like, the hooky little guitar lick for it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like all of my songs do have some of that to some degree, because that was my background in songwriting, was rock and roll music and like electric guitar riffs and stuff. So that's what I brought to songwriting, which is what I enjoy way more now than rock.
Yeah. When you play, it's always like, oh, okay, Aaron, playing those riffs like between your verse and chorus, and it's just like, okay, go, Aaron.
It's so funny though, because I've played with some friends, like I've done features at Tour Stop shows before where they'll be like, hey, will you play a song or two with us? And then people will watch me play and they're like, who? You could, what?
Yeah, you played with Coley the other day and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I can actually play. So what have you felt has changed from your songwriting style between 2020 and now then? Are you just trying to focus in on a specific genre, or are you just still figuring that out for yourself?
I think I'm still figuring that out for the most part. I've been told, like, from the time you start to, like, 5 years down the line, you're going to change immensely.
That's true.
Because you're not just, like, a songwriter. You're a person. And so, like, what happens to you is most likely always going to bleed into your music.
And life changes a lot between 20 and 25.
That's, yeah. Yeah, it changes a lot from when you're in high school and you're like, hi, Mom and Dad, when you get home to, hi, Mom and Dad, over the phone. And, like, yeah, I did this today.
It's like, I need gas money.
Please.
At Grace Morgan Music on Venmo.
Yeah, it's like, what did you have to eat today? A bag of pecans.
Have you had any water? Iced coffee only.
That happens quite often.
You're like, this is normal.
This is my constant state. Yeah.
I have thought about that. You were eating pecans at Tour Stop last week.
Yes,
You're just like, do you want some pecans? And I'm like, sure.
Yeah, I had a little bag of raw pecans from Trader Joe's, and that has been my snack lately, but it was my dinner that day. And Chris was like, yeah, let's get some nachos.
Let's get some food.
Let's get some nachos.
Let's get you some protein.
Yeah, shout out to Chris for feeding
Chris
me.
Myers.
Chris Myers, thanks for feeding me.
Yeah, when I was in college, I would buy those Uncle Ben's 90-second bags of rice.
Yeah.
And, like, that was what I had to eat.
Yeah, I tried to get one of those yesterday to make some tacos and some, like, Mexican rice, and I could not find Uncle Ben's at Kroger.
Oh, God.
So I got, like, a generic little brand, and I was like, oh, this is so sad.
Like, when I graduated from college, I was so poor that I couldn't afford anything. I had less than $1 in my checking account, and I remember my college graduation got snowed out, so I didn't get to walk. And
when did you graduate? Was it December?
December of 16.
Okay, because I was going to say snow and, like, May is concerning.
Yeah, it was so, like, snowy and icy and whatever that they canceled the graduation ceremony, and all I had at home was tortilla chips and refried beans and cheese. But our microwave was broken, so I ate tortilla chips, I scooped cold refried beans, and put cold shredded cheese. It just...
Yummy. Cold refried beans.
Not great. I mean, I would eat cans of green beans for like lunch at work sometimes. Be like, this cost 89 cents. That's all I've got. Crank this bad boy up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked at a candy store though, so we'd have like trash candy, and it'd be like a box of broken pretzels and tiny potato chips. So I would just eat my can of green beans and like whatever I could scavenge.
Yeah, that's why you didn't want to eat my pecans the other day. You were like, I had enough candied pecans in my lifetime from the candy store. Yeah.
So what do you think is the next step for Grace Morgan, the artist? Are you wanting to just write and figure out the genre, or are you hoping to start putting out music in the next year or so? What do you want?
I'm hoping to start putting out music. I'm trying to get in touch with some producers. I want Hot Wells Creek to be my first single just because it has a little bit of my background and it's more fun, upbeat song. And then we can get into the like sad, depressing stuff later.
You're like, we can get sad later.
We can get sad later. Just come listen to like the first song and then we'll figure it out.
So do you know how many songs you've written at this point? A lot?
Yeah, over 60.
That's awesome.
For sure.
That's awesome. I remember, I was 24 when I moved to Nashville, and I remember writing my 100th song in my old Antioch, Tennessee apartment.
Yeah.
And I was just so proud. I was like, I finally did it. I finally wrote 100 songs, and there's 7 of them that I'm okay with people hearing.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that, like, you're going to write stuff until something sticks. And once that one thing sticks, you're going to play the heck out of it.
You're going to beat that dead horse forever.
For a long time. For a very long time. Until you write something else that you're like, okay,
finally.
We can move on. It may take like 10 songs to get to the one that you're like, yeah, I'll play that out.
My first song that I remember writing that people liked was called Black and White. Okay. And there's from The Office, on the finale of the show, Andy Bernard says, I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them. Someone should write a song about that. I was like, I'll do it. And I remember writing that song, and then I played it for a friend of mine, my old roommate. He's like, dude, this is great. And I was like, thanks, man. He goes, no, I'm not saying it as your roommate. I'm like, this is a good song, man. I was like, me? I made good art?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's validating to know when somebody actually appreciates the work you put into it.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Especially when like you haven't played out in a while and you're playing just for like a friend or a roommate in a room and you're like, I wrote this. Is this cool? Or am I like...
Am I stupid?
Am I stupid or am I just like thinking it's cool?
I've had that idea before where you're like, man, this is a great melody. And then you're like, oh, that's a Queen song.
Oh.
You're like, I am ripping off Hotel California, or I am ripping off Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Like,
again.
It was a good idea in the 70s when it came out.
Yeah, it's almost impossible not to, like, going into, like, copyright infringement and things like that. Like, you're writing this and you're like, yeah, this sounds good. This could be a hit. And then you're like, this was a hit at one point.
That's something that I see happen all the time, though,
Yeah.
is that people write songs and they release music, and I'm like, do you hear that you ripped off a popular song? Like, do you not hear the rhymes, or do you not hear the melody? And it's a little cringe.
Yeah, I think it was like a couple weeks ago we were talking about that because someone played and you're like, ooh.
Oh. Like, I've had it happen before. I was like, are they playing a cover song? Because you'll hear it and you're like, I know this song. And you're like, oh, no, that's not the cover song.
That's not the song.
It's like, go tap him and be like, do you know what you did?
Don't put it out. Don't put it out. You'll get sued.
Because you don't want to shame people, but also they should know.
They should know, or else it's gonna hurt them in the long run.
Yeah. Before I was living in Nashville, I was playing at this open mic up in Missouri all the time, and it was right after Moana had come out, and I told you about this. So we were playing at this open mic, and it was a seedy dive bar. I loved it to death, called East Side Tavern. It had horror movie memorabilia everywhere. It was dope. So it was me. I was like 22, and then it was like a bunch of like 65-year-old men. Like, we had a core group of just dudes who played this every week, because if you played, you got free pizza. So I was literally playing for my dinner because I was so poor.
Yeah.
R.E. can of green beans and cold refried beans. But I would play there every Wednesday night. And then this one time a girl came to play, and we're like, oh, she's new. And her mom was there with her, and she was like 15 or something. She's like, I just wrote this new song, and I'm really proud of it. And she played How Far I'll Go. And 65-year-old man's not like prime Moana soundtrack knower. So we all were just like, holy crap. Like,
this is great.
This girl's incredible. And like, we left thinking like she wrote that. And then I remember watching Moana like a year later, and I was like, holy crap, the girl wrote... Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote that. And that girl lied. Like, that's capital sin number 1 in Nashville is don't lie about writing a song you didn't write.
Yeah, like, don't do that. You might get street cred for a second, but when people find out, it's game over, man.
No one's going to be impressed
to
find out that you tried stealing a Grammy-winning or an Oscar-winning song.
Yeah. Like, why?
You stand to benefit nothing, so don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
That's
don't lie.
That's Aaron's dad's advice on everything is just don't lie.
Don't lie. Don't lie. That's another one of the rules.
Yeah, that's a good rule. Rule number 1 is don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Don't lie. What should another rule be? Oh, first-timers have to play the first song.
Yeah.
That's the actual second rule of Tour Stop.
Yeah,
first-timers have to play the first song.
First.
You can follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, and everywhere else on your social medias at Nashville Tour Stop. You can follow us on the web at NashvilleTourStop.com. That'd be funny if I had like the Tony the Tiger going along with me. Tony the Tiger, NashvilleTourStop.com.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll animate that in. I'm not going to do that. But you can find us on the web at NashvilleTourStop.com. We've got our full live event calendar. Thank you so much for listening this week. But until next time, do remember that all roads lead right back here to the Nashville Tour Stop.
Yeah.
A delight and a bunch of fun to have around.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was truly the best first internship
We did it.
I could have in Nashville.
There are way worse internships you could have because I had one when I was 17, 18, and it was gross. We're not going to get into it. But
for another time.
Follow Grace Morgan Music online. Come watch her live. This has been episode number 115 of the Nashville Tour Stop podcast featuring Grace Morgan. We'll be back here next week with part 2 of the Nashville Tour Stop podcast intern programming with our social media intern named Mallory Fisher. But until next time, you can follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, and everywhere else on your social medias at Nashville Tour Stop. You can follow us on the web at NashvilleTourStop.com. That'd be funny if I had like the Tony the Tiger going along with me. Tony the Tiger, NashvilleTourStop.com. Yeah, we'll do that. I'll animate that in. I'm not going to do that. But you can find us on the web at NashvilleTourStop.com. We've got our full live event calendar. Thank you so much for listening this week. But until next time, do remember that all roads lead right back here to the Nashville Tour Stop.